Hi, it's Ben Cummins here from Trident Consulting. I'm a certified BlackLine implementation consultant and also a former user of BlackLine for several years as an accountant. Today I'll be talking about automating routine administrative tasks in BlackLine, specifically for two functionalities, auto grouping rules and account rules. Let's delve into a bit more detail as to what these functionalities do. Firstly, for account rules in BlackLine, there's quite a broad scope in what these can automate. To hone it down, they help minimize manual actions upon import of data into BlackLine. And this will vary from business to business, but ultimately the configuration settings normally done by an admin, such as assigning a template, frequencies, preparers or approvers in the workflow, these can all be automated using the rules. To use account rules, it's good to mention that you'll first need to navigate to account settings as a system administrator. Scroll down and tick Enable Rules-Based Administration. Once enabled, we can then go to System, Jobs, and then Account Rules to start filling out our account rules. In this first example, I'll be setting up an account rule which will automatically assign preparers and approvers to accounts as well as frequencies based on entity. We'll start off by entering and naming the account rule. In this case, I'm filtering by my entity and assigning a workflow and frequency assignment. For risk mitigation, if I tick this, that's indicating that you want higher level roles to have read-only access to the rule through the risk center. So that includes roles such as financial manager, CFO, as well as external auditors, for instance. For the rule, you're going to choose whether it applies to just GL accounts, groups, or both. In this case, I'll tick GL accounts. And for description, you're giving a bit of a purpose for the rule and more detail. In this case, I'll just use my rule name again. And then under filtering, so we click on filter criteria. We're defining the pool of accounts we want this rule to apply to. As I mentioned, in this case, I'm going to be filtering based on entity. We'll choose our operator as well. And then choose our entity filter. The filter conditions apply a logic to define the relationship with the filter criteria lines using and/or statements. So in this case, it's just one filter criteria. If there were multiple, I'd be filling out the statement in accordance with how I want that rule to filter all those conditions. Under assignments, this is where we're noting to import the different features we'd like BlackLine to help automate. As I mentioned, in this case, we're assigning preparers and approvers as well as frequencies. So I'll be adding in those assignments here. Scrolling down, we want to click preview just to see the cut of accounts that will be applying for this rule. And we can choose whether we want this rule to run on each import of data, meaning each time we import data into BlackLine, it will automatically apply the criteria assigned in this rule. Otherwise, it'll be a manual run of the rule. Ideally, we want to automate this. And then, of course, save. Secondly, let's talk about auto grouping rules. This involves an administrator creating rules to automatically assign individual accounts to form part of an existing group. In terms of use cases, account groups can be employed in scenarios where individual accounts are sharing common supporting documentation or a reconciliation process covering multiple accounts. More specifically, think grouping fixed assets and their associated depreciation accounts to tie back to a fixed asset register report, for example, or grouping up intercompany loan accounts that transact with each other. It's important to know that auto grouping rules run in a specific order, so keep this in mind when setting up the rule. Also note that the rule can be used to assign accounts to existing groups only, so you'll need to create the group first prior to setting up rules. To utilize auto grouping rules, you'll need to first make a request to BlackLine support via your support portal to have this functionality enabled. Once enabled, we can navigate to Settings and Auto Grouping Rules. Now, let's look at an example of setting up an auto grouping rule in BlackLine. In this scenario, I'll be setting up a rule to automatically group up fixed asset and depreciation accounts that form part of an existing fixed asset group. The product, we're selecting account reconciliations. We can also apply it to other products within BlackLine. We're also determining the order in which we want this rule to run. For description, we can add more of a purpose for this rule, but I'm just going to add the group name again. And we can select whether we want this rule to run on import of data into BlackLine. For the rule itself, we click on the little plus. I'm going to select account as my filter criteria and picking up a range of accounts here. Under group settings, this is where we're picking our actual grouping with which we want these accounts to be applied to. Once we're happy with that, we'll be able to click Save. And our rule is going to now run automatically on import of data into BlackLine.